Sounds correct.
Welcome,
Right.
Realm family, to another episode of Wrestling with the Realm podcast. I'm Brian. I'm one half of the power and glory of wrestling podcast. And on the other side, that's my guy. He's the Hercules to my Paul Roma. It's my guy, Will. Will, what are we talking about today?
What's going on, everyone? I think me and Brian can almost coin this a WWR original.
I
I have
think
not seen
so.
a lot of people do this. We are doing Who Fits That Faction. Hopefully it's a series. If you guys are liking it, we can bring it to you every once in a while. Me and Brian are going to list a few factions today, and we are going to pick any wrestler all time we feel fits that faction, who would fit in well with the other people in the faction, who fits the overall vibe of it. So I'm excited. We got a good list of factions here today, and I'm interested to see who Brian has for a few of these because I know that we've discussed this in the past actually, and I gave
Yep.
him one of mine, and I'm in love with this one. But I'll let Brian go first because I'm interested to, hear who he has in this faction because there was a lot of people in this faction.
Yeah.
Brian, we're starting with the NWO. Who do you got for me?
So just so everybody knows, like right away, me and Will aren't comparing lists. Like, so I have no idea who he's gonna pick. So we might have the same people, which would be kind of
Yeah.
crazy. And what I'm interested in is the people that we don't mention for some of these factions, because this is going to be a little bit of a series. We got a few of these that we have worked out. Today,
Yeah.
we're going to cover the NWO, the Nexus, and Nation of Domination. So right away with the NWO, what I tried to do, I tried to come up with two or three names. I tried to come up with a somebody from the women's division who I think might fit some of these factions, because we're so far ahead in the women's division than we were for some of these that I feel like there's some people who could fit. So I tried to get some of those in there, but there's no right or wrong answers here, folks. So right away for the NWO, I don't know if this is self-serving or not. I had to go back and look to make sure he wasn't part of it, and he wasn't because, like Will said, there were so many people in the NWO.
Yeah.
My first person who I thought of immediately, Paul Roma, is one of the
Oh,
first people I thought of for the NWO. It just seemed like he was tailor made for that group. And I looked and he had said he was never in the NWO, which is kind of surprising. Like I can picture it in my head. I can picture him walking down the ramp with the NWO shirt on, some light colored stonewashed jeans. Like I can just picture it. Um, I think Paul Roma just had all of those pieces that would fit people that got into the NWO. The larger that it got, you started getting your Buff Bagwells, and then you start going a little bit lower on the roster. You started getting Virgil was in there. Like you start getting all these people who are in that group. I think Paul Roma could have been somebody who was like a middle member of the NWO. He was always good in the ring. He wasn't the greatest on the mic. I think he'd probably tell you that. So being a part of a group like that would be super helpful to him. So it just felt like a no-brainer for Paul Roma to be part of the NWO.
yeah, it's
Um,
pretty good.
I don't know if anybody had that on their bingo card.
Not
Will,
thinking with it.
how
No,
how how many people do you have, Will, for the NWO? How many do you have written down?
I have just one, but I really like my one. I only have two for one of them, and that's the Nexus, but
Okay. All right. Well, let me give you a couple more, and
okay.
hopefully it's not because I have two more, actually three. I'm going to throw Rhea Ripley in there right away.
Yep,
She
that's a
seemed
good
like
one.
an obvious one. I mean, if you were looking at the women's division now and you go, who do we have that would have fit that? Rhea Ripley. I mean, the Judgment Day, the whole thing. I feel like she would have been one of those top tier members of the NWO. Somebody else who I go, it wasn't my first choice, but when I really started to think about the NWO and kind of what their deal was, I was like, man, Drew McIntyre.
Mm.
Drew
That's
McIntyre
a good
is
one.
somebody that would have totally fit with what the NWO was all about. He feels like he's been wronged. He's been this person who um, is kind of a, he's not an outsider, but he kind of makes himself an outsider because he sees things in such a different way than everybody else does. Like he has his perception and that's what he sticks to. And I feel like he just fit that NWO mold. Then the last one that I have for the NWO, I mean, I go, this one's actually really good. LA Knight,
Yeah, dude.
NWO, right? 100% LA
Yeah,
Knight. Yeah,
so good.
he would have had the shirt and he would have
Mhm.
had it on the glasses. It would have been LA NWO on there. It would have been a whole thing. Like they would have sold so much LA Knight merch. That's NWO. That's what I got, Will. Hit me with your person for the NWO because I'm dying to know now.
Well, let me give you two
Okay.
actually, because now that you're saying it, and we're talking about the vibe,
Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna give you a couple because
Yep.
originally I was going to just give you Seth Rollins, but
Oh,
why not throw the whole family
yeah.
in there? Give me Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch
Oh,
because
that would have been perfect.
I feel like this whole persona they got going on
Yep.
right now. I mean, you could just imagine them coming out in the most extra black and white outfits that you could possibly design.
I can
They're
see it in my head. 100%.
Yes, they are two people just off, even though their character might not exactly match it, because Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch have never been like, I'm entitled to this because of my name, although they're building up the resume where they can very well be that.
Mm-hmm.
And, Seth Rollins is actually going through a little bit of that character development right now, building towards this triple threat match at WrestleMania. Oh, I've been here for so and so years working my tail off, and now CM Punk, you just get to
Yep.
come back and you're the main event. No, that's kind of giving the NWO vibe right there. In terms
Yep.
of Becky, I think it's more just the vibe in general. Although, if you think about it, she could come back and very well do the same thing. I thought about like a Charlotte Flair for this one, but like I don't know. I didn't think that. I think Becky just fits the mold a little better for this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had Seth and Becky down for I don't know how many of these factions, and I don't
Yes.
think I actually settled on one. Was I looked
Yeah.
through my notes at a lot of these, I go, I don't think I ever settled on them for anything. Because there was a couple of these where I was like, oh, that's way too obvious. We'll get to it. Not this episode, but I think there'll be another faction that we do down the line where I go, there's some obvious choices that I tried to stay away from. Uh, but you're so right though about Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Like just in my head, all I see is the outlandish black and white outfits with them getting into the ring with everybody else. Like I can see Macho Man there. I can see Hollywood Hogan. Like it just you're
Yeah,
right.
no.
Like if you were to take a picture of who you would superimpose on there, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch seem like they fit the bill 100%.
Yeah, I just thought that Seth Rollins especially is just a you're right, he does fit into so many different lists. I think that's just Seth Rollins on this podcast isn't someone we really talk about a whole
True.
lot. And his work is just so good. You can plug him into
Mm-hmm.
and he makes it work. So Seth Rollins is the man. But moving on to our next group, Brian, who do you have down for the Nation of Domination?
Oh boy. So, a little peek behind the curtain for everybody. The inception of this whole concept of putting somebody from any era into one of the greatest factions in wrestling history, the whole idea came up because of the Nation of Domination and the person I'm about to say, Coco Beware. Will and I, ever since WrestleMania 6, and Will fell in love with Coco Beware, which I love. That warms my heart to hear him say that. I think back and I go, man, because Coco always, it was like he was just in the wrong time for
Yeah.
him. He was a great worker. He had an awesome gimmick. Um, you know, you guys have been listening to us. Will loves him some Frankie, just chilling outside the ring on his perch, like
Yes.
oblivious to everything. Um, but I thought of Coco like right away when we were talking about the Nation of Domination. I go, oh man, Coco Beware would be so perfect if he was around at that time in the Attitude Era. Like that would have, I don't want to say it would have like rejuvenated his career or anything like that, but I think it could have been one of those turns for him that just gave him like a second life in wrestling. You know, it would have been that second gimmick where he could have played it with some edge. He had other guys in there that you can play off of. Um, I mean, you put Farouk in there, and you know everybody can play off of him. Like automatically, you go, you have a very strong group. So like, I was like, Coco would have been awesome. I could see Coco Beware in the Nation of Domination squaring off against um, X Pac. Like I could totally see that. It would have been awesome. I love me some Coco. Uh, I got two more that I'll throw in there, and I'm scared one of them is going to be who Will is thinking.
Yeah.
Uh, this one probably not. Again, I was trying to come up with some people from the women's division who I think would fit in there, and somebody else who me and Will were just talking about that we got a lot of love for, Lash Legend. I was like,
That's
she
what
could
I
have
thought.
been dope in that. It would have been such a great angle for her with that group. The promos would have been great. The in work stuff would have been great. I could see her in China going at it, like when DX was button heads with Nation of Domination. That could have been awesome.
Hmm.
But then my last one is the obvious choice where I go, it's a no brainer. Obafemi.
Yeah.
No brainer.
Hmm.
Like, God, that would have been awesome. But you can put that guy in almost anything right now, and you go, he's going to be a star. Um, so there's going to be so much more to come with Obafemi because this dude is just like the tip of the iceberg right now for him.
Oh my
That
gosh.
dude's got that dude has an incredible future in WWE, and I say WWE because they're not going to let him get away
No.
because that dude is going to be awesome. Will, who you got?
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna come at you with two people from the women's division.
All
Because here
right.
you talk about the women's division, and I'm just thinking, man, you could plug some of these people in to the past and they would be perfect.
Yeah.
An easy one to think about is Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
You give Jade Cargill, put her around someone like The Rock, and you have her, and she's just kind of standing back there looking tough because she has the look,
Yep.
and you can have her, like you said, mix it up with China.
Yeah, dude,
She,
that they would have printed money with that.
oh
You're
my gosh,
right.
what a
Yeah.
and you just I don't know, she just fits the bill. She can be another powerhouse in that
Yep.
group. I know they have plenty of those to go
Yep.
around, like Baruch and Mark Henry, but like she just fits that bill and she can be the powerhouse on the women's side. But let's say you wanted a little bit more of like a mic piece in that group's another
Yep.
person that can talk. And that made me go like this version of Naomi would have been
Yeah. Yes.
so good.
Yep.
I'm not talking about the glow Naomi. I'm talking
Mm-mm.
about the one we've seen the last 2 weeks. She's got the caution tape. This would be the perfect version to throw into that group because you can put a mic in her hand and she can
Yep.
be the mouthpiece for the whole group.
Mm-hmm.
Like she has been cutting great promos and like I just think that's kind of like almost what they were missing because you think of the Nation of Domination, they were an elite level group, but they didn't last super long. Like they had a couple year run, but they were just missing that big person to kind of put them over as a group. Obviously, you break down this group. individual successes everywhere.
Yep.
But like they never got that big, huge push together. So I feel like Naomi on the promo side could have definitely helped them out. And of course, like the name I actually have written down is Big E.
Oh
Like
man, that's good.
it is, but I feel like a lot of people originally kind of thought that about him because if you look if you look at like the ring gear he came out with when he debuted on the main roster, he carried around the Money in the Bank briefcase for Dolph Ziggler. Like it's definitely weird to think about how far he came in his career,
That's funny.
but he came out in kind of Nation of Domination gear. It kind of looked a little similar to that.
Okay.
And people were like, oh, he would have fit in perfectly with the Nation of Domination. So I kind of wanted to quick throw a pivot in there because I feel like everyone would say like a biggie.
Yeah. Yep.
And
And when you talk about like the promos and stuff with Naomi, you're not wrong because you have those different iterations of the nation. Like probably the hottest on the mic is once The Rock got over. Like
yeah,
once The Rock made his turn from Rocky Maivia to The Rock, and then you started getting into the feud with DX and all of that. I go, it started to heat up. And you're not wrong with Naomi that if you had Naomi there from the beginning, this version of her, I think you get to that not charismatic version of what they were trying to do, but a voice that stood out a little bit different than what
yeah,
Farouk is doing or the Godfather is doing, but a little bit of something that didn't happen until The Rock when he went over. So I think if you would have injected her right away, I think that probably would have hit a little bit harder and a little bit quicker.
yeah, absolutely. But moving on to our next group, and I'm gonna take it here because we're talking about the Nexus, and I loved the Nexus growing up. And it's funny, Brian texts me,
Yep.
um, or Breaking, he's like, man, I got this buddy. He wants you to talk about how purple shirt John Cena
Mm-hmm.
single-handedly defeated the Nexus one time. And he's not lying. He is not lying. Purple shirt John Cena was a all-time like people talk about Hogan and like how Hogan he would not go down. Like he would not take the 3 count. I don't think John ever said like I'm not taking the 3 count. Like no, this person's not pinning me. And I don't think he ever did that, but I don't think Vince was ever like Cena's gonna get pinned. And that's why we have the John Cena we have now,
Yep.
because the fans were like, man, John Cena buried the Nexus. And John Cena, he killed all those guys' career, and Wade Barrett was a future world champion. And that's when I stopped people because I didn't see that in Wade Barrett until he became Bad News Barrett, which spoiler if we ever do overrated and underrated on Wade Barrett, underrated because Bad News Barrett was money. That
Tell
was
me
so
he came out like Bad News Brown.
no, no, he did.
Oh, dang
He,
it.
he used to stand up on a huge podium and like that was it was ginormous. And he'd come out and he'd be like, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
That was good. You sounded just like him.
Yeah. Oh man, just so good. But at the time, I felt like Nexus needed a more believable, young, powerhouse leader who is good on the mic. And Brian, this is where I have Obafemi. Because
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like
Yeah.
Obafemi, and this
Yeah.
isn't like you're talking about a young guy that we have on multiple lists right now because
Yep.
he is that good at his character work. You're not talking about the powerhouse in the ring because
Mm-mm.
Wade Barrett was kind of the skinny, scrawny, tall guy. He had a little bit of muscle to him, but nothing crazy. And he was okay on the mic, but you want someone that I believe can give John Cena a 3 count and beat him for his world
Yeah.
championship. That's Obafemi. someone who can take the mic and be like a believable leader of all these people, that's Obafemi. And a dude that can cause chaos, not in a group, but by himself,
Mm-hmm.
that's Obafemi. So I think he would be the
Ooh,
perfect leader of Nexus.
I think that's the MVP pick right there. That's the Slim Jim play of the game.
That's just
You're so right, man. Yeah, Obafemi and Nexus. Yeah.
and then the other person I thought about just kind of was off by a few years on the women's side is like Nexus was so weird because if you were to build like a female Nexus, this is who I would have be my leader, and that's Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
Like that's just the pick for me. I mean, she could have been the voice of all these people because she is Charlotte Flair and her last name's Flair, and they're gonna take over the women's division because it needs a rehaul. And I've thought originally when they were going with the whole four horsewomen gimmick with
Mm-hmm.
her, Bailey, Sasha Banks, and Becky Lynch, like that's kind of what I would have imagined they were gonna do. Obviously, they all went their separate ways and never really formed a group, but that was always like an idea I had in the back of my mind as I was, growing up watching it. And they're referring to them as this four horsewoman group. Those would be my two people that I would think are just, young, or Charlotte would have been younger at the time when she came out of NXT, like, and could just be dominant leaders of a faction that couldn't cause chaos. But Brian, I'm interested to hear who you have for this group.
It's weird for me because I didn't know a lot about the Nexus, so I kind of had to do some homework on them and kind of see what they were all about. And seeing that it was, you get the big Wade Barrett part, but then it seemed like it was filled with a lot of these, NXT people when NXT wasn't even NXT really, from what I found, which
Yeah.
blew my mind. Um, but you also had a lot of pedigree with a lot of the people there. Uh, so from the women's division, I was like, if you were throwing somebody in there now, I go Jordan Grace would be somebody who, if you had Jordan Grace
Ooh,
in the Nexus back
yeah.
then, it was like you have all your bases covered now, because she could, again, she'd be believable. Where if she came out and started wrecking shop in the women's division, nobody would bat an eye at that. It would seem very believable. Um, Somebody else who popped in there, and I go for no other reason than I just feel like he would have fit Andre Chase. And I don't know if I'm out on an island with Andre Chase. I love the Chase U stuff.
You are.
And
I love that so much.
but like I, as I'm going through and I'm doing like some homework on the Nexus and watching some videos on it and doing some history, all I kept thinking every time I would see Wade Barrett in the foreground and then the people behind him in the t-shirts, I go, I just see Andre Chase as one of those guys in the background who's standing back there with the black and yellow shirt on.
Oh, good.
Like,
That's so unbelievably good.
but I think the real person who I go, if they did have, or I should say, if this person was around in the business when the Nexus was there, he would have been in it. Uh, Lexus King, Brian Pillman Jr. would have been in
Oh,
there because
yeah.
he checks the boxes with the pedigree that you have from some of those guys. You have Bray Wyatt in there, so he comes from the, Rotunda lineage. Uh, so I just feel like Brian Pillman Jr. would have been a natural fit to be in that group.
Dude, you're out here kind of just building a brand new Nexus for us, Brian.
Yeah.
We could, Obafemi, Lexus King, if you have Andre Chase, you got to throw in Riley Osborne.
Yeah.
He can be the new
Yes.
Justin Gabriel. Like
Yep.
when you said Andre Chase, I was like, dude, that's the Heath Slater replacement right there.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, that
Yeah.
is so good.
Yes.
That might be my MVP pick of the
Ooh.
day because that is so on point. Like he's just one of those background guys, kind
Yep.
of that will sometimes get a singles match. Like that was like Heath Slater. So that
And,
is so funny you bring that up.
and I say it with great affection too, and I know you do. where you go,
Yes.
he's just one of
Yeah.
those background guys who would be there. Where I go, yeah, he's a background guy, but he's not filler or a jobber because there's a
No,
little
no, no,
bit
no.
more to it. Um, so I totally mean that as an awesome compliment to Andre Chase.
No,
Uh,
yeah.
you
I
guys are going to have to let us know who you think the MVP pick was for this, but I think I might have it, Will. Neither one of us said it, and it popped in my head a little bit earlier when you were talking about Bad News Barrett. How did both of us miss the obvious choice for Nation of Domination? Bad News Brown.
oh,
100%. Bad News Brown was Nation of
okay.
Domination before it even existed. And he was
Yeah.
a group of one.
Mm,
Man, love the Bad News Brown. I feel like Bad News Brown gets a lot of negative stuff from people. Bad News was awesome. He was an
yeah.
awesome heel.
Yeah, he
Dude,
was.
he would have joined Nation of Domination, whooped on all of them, and then just left them hanging high and dry with a count out. Like, like that was Bad News Brown every pay-per-view. He was like, no, no, I'm not putting the other
Yeah.
person over. You can count me out.
Yeah.
And then he hooked up with Piper, and Piper's like, well, Jesus, I'm not going to be getting, I'm not going to go down either. Now you got to count me out. And then they do that thing, and they both have the double count out every match for Bad News on a pay-per-view. He was awesome though.
Bad News Brown was in today's world what we call the ultimate crash out. That dude would just go in there, throw hands.
Yep,
He's not putting you over, and he's leaving. He's just gone. Like that
yep,
is such crash out energy. We
yep.
need a dude like Bad News Brown
We
in
do
today's wrestling. The closest thing we kind of have is like a Jacob Fatu almost.
kind of.
Like, but not like, in ring wise or like not even the energy they bring. But Jacob Fatu's just there to, cause mayhem, and then
Yep,
he's gonna leave if he wins. He's gonna win. But like, I don't know, man. What a good pick. That is the MVP pick.
it
And
has to be
you know
right.
what? We should. You guys can get us in the comments for not having Bad News Brown off
Should have
the
had him
in our Nation of Domination takes. So
because I'm gonna give Bad News some more love. If Bad News Brown was around today, dude would be over
oh my
hard.
gosh, yeah,
Like he would flourish in today's WWE right now. Like they would be because they'd be able to work that character that he was. Like back then, they didn't know what to do with it. Like he was a good worker and he would get heat, but they didn't know how to like put him into like a long form program with a legit story. Today, I think it would be easy. Like
yeah,
Bad News all day because he was like Bad News Brown is all like he was almost the Stone Cold before Stone Cold character, if you think about it.
yeah,
Like he wasn't a fan of the authority figures. He was in it for him. He didn't care who the person was. Like you said, he's going to go in there, throw hands, get counted out. He didn't care. He'll drop a couple of middle fingers on his way out. Like Bad News didn't care. Like Bad News was ahead of his time, man. Like I don't
yeah,
know how much time people have spent talking about him on podcasts, but it's not enough because that dude's underrated.
yeah. Overrated, underrated. Bad News Brown.
Yeah.
We'll save it for another episode.
Yeah, we will.
We'll come in here and talk more about him because I think they just didn't know what to do with the guy that hates the authority figure
Yeah.
back then. So they just had him get counted out all the time.
Like they
Oh,
couldn't like they didn't know enough to lean into it and let the audience be part of it. Like once
yeah,
Stone Cold came around and then we get to where we are today, like the business has evolved enough that it's okay to lean into some of the things that we're all aware of and just let us go on that ride with them. You know, we talk about Jade Cargill and that whole thing. Like lean into the stuff where Naomi is saying the things that we all think about. Where you go, she did come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden she's just the cat's pajamas. Like now with Naomi coming out, she's saying all the stuff that we all think. Lean into that. So if Bad News was around today, they totally would do that. A dude would be over. He'd be making so much money. He wouldn't have had to get counted out and then go run off to Japan where he can make the big bucks. Like dude could have did it here.
yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame. But you wanna know what? he did just get his flowers. So
Yeah.
well deserved for Bad News Brown.
Yep.
Brian, you got anything else for him?
I don't think so, man. I think that wraps it up for our first episode, Greatest Factions of All Time. Who would you add? I just want to thank everybody from the Realm Paranormal Podcast. Thank you guys for coming over, taking a look at us. And if you haven't gone over, if you're a WWR watcher and you haven't checked it out yet, go on your YouTubes, go over to the Realm Paranormal Podcast, and check out what we got for you there. A lot of back seasons, a lot of backlog seasons. Next season is not coming up till the fall, I think, but we should have a lot of stuff coming up because of some investigations that have been done. It's going to be good stuff.
Awesome.
So go check that out.
Yeah, and I only have two things for the people. First of all,
Oh,
TikTok is doing great. Three new TikToks have just been posted, and we have just some shorts of Brian giving Penta the business,
yeah.
and then we have one new list. If you guys love short form list content, go over to the TikTok. Same thing as our YouTube, Wrestling with the Realm. It is some of the my favorite stuff I do on here. You know, it is just it's a good time. But till next time, and I don't know what is our next episode, Brad. We have our WrestleMania 9 watch along.
Yeah, we have to do a retro rewatch.
So stay tuned for that. It won't be us singing the Common Man Boogie, but it will be just as good. It will be just as good. And until next time, guys, love, see you.
Catch you guys next time.
And I only have one more thing
No.
for you guys.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
no.
getting a little excited, Brian.
Oh, no.
Pack
It
it
is.
time. Come on, y'all. I saved one pack. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I know this is going in the bloopers, but I pulled absolute crap today. So I got one more pack. I was like, I'm gonna save it for the people on the podcast, guys, because
Smart.
maybe you guys will bring me some good luck. We'll go over the cards together. Um, we got hold on, I got him in there. That's Voltron. They just made a Pokeball of Pokemon, and I guess that's okay. But we got this bird thing. He's not
Yeah.
worth money. I'll skip to the good part for you guys to see if we got anything. Okay. Okay. We got Torchic Reverse Hollow. Oh, hold on. Oh, there it is. Yeah, he's one of the starting Pokemon, so I know who he is. Black Belt Training Card.
Hey, that was the name of my band in high school.
And then we got Butterfree. Absolutely
Oh,
nothing, guys. My luck has been so bad. Next time, hopefully, I come at you guys and we pull something good.
I like
But
that card. Butterfree. That's great. Another good band name.
Butterfree. There's a Butterfree band?
It'd be a great name.
Oh no, it would that would be a great name.
Yeah.
Maybe if we ever start singing on Wrestling with the Realm, that can be our band name.
Yeah, we're gonna sing themes from the 80s.
What would be the first theme song we sing?
All American Boys for the Quebecers.
That's so good. We have to do a Dusty Rhodes theme song cover.
We should do that with us singing Common Man Boogie.
Oh yeah, Common Man Boogie.